Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, The Courageous Walk. I am Jonelle Reynolds, and today I'm excited to introduce you to my former boss and now friend, Marie Abram Robinson. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist, a businesswoman, executive leadership expert, and a fellow Caribbean sister from the US Virgin Islands. So I love making those connections. I invited her to talk about managing anxiety, worry, self-doubt that many of us are facing during this COVID-19 pandemic. And so, but before we launch into solving the world's problems, Marie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself so that my followers will get to know you a bit, and then we'll get to our topic.
Yes. Well, first, let me thank you, Jonelle, for this opportunity. I can't tell you how proud I am of you. I have always been a fan. So it was really neat. A few weeks ago, I was just scrolling through my Facebook and I saw your post and you have a blog and I thought, oh, this is so cool. And then I started to read your blog. I spent hours reading your blog because you have always been a brilliant, thoughtful person. And it's just neat to see how you have put all of your education and skills and wisdom into these platforms, right? So that you can give back to community. So I am very proud of you for that.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. Just briefly about myself, you summarize my bio, and that's just fine. I'm a wife and a mom. I have a teenager, and I'm proud to now be in private practice. So M. Robinson Counseling is me. I have now a team of one. I went from a team of 50 plus, right, to a team of one, and that works for me. Change of pace has worked. So you said it all. That's me as a professional, and then me as a person, wife and mom. So
Wife and mom.
yes.
So, as you know, a lot of parents, our friends, probably yourself, many of us. I'm not a parent, but I feel like I am vicariously living the stress of friends and family as we're trying to figure out should our kids go back to school? Should we keep them at home? If we have multiple children at different age groups, then the decision is very different. Is our community, infected or not? And so there's just a lot of decisions that parents have to make.
Yes.
And then there's the additional internal sort of self-talk about if I make one decision over another, does that make me a bad parent?
Yes. Yes.
So there's really just a lot of that struggle. And of
Yes.
course, things are changing so rapidly. So today you might have made a decision and then there's new information and now you have to rethink everything. And so I wonder if you had some strategies, some things that parents could think about to help them keep some sanity in the midst of all of this.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, there is no one script, right, for any of this because we have never lived in a time where we had these challenges before. And so I would start by saying we have to do our very best with what we have, okay? You and I went to school, we studied all that we could about working with clients and doing no harm. And what we learned, one of the things I remember learning that was most important is the client is the expert on him or herself, okay? Each individual has figured out some things that works for him or for her. And I would say first things first, remain calm as you can. Go back to what you know. You know how to solve problems. You've solved problems your entire life, right? This is a different challenge, but you're the same person. So you have some skills. Put those skills to work. Forget about what the neighbors and the Joneses are doing because you are in control of your own ship, okay? And we can't control the neighbors. We can't control the city, right? The county, the state, the country, the world, but we can manage at home. Manage what you can. Okay, that starts with self. That means I remain calm as I can. Okay, I think about what is best for myself and my children, my family, right? And then I have to weigh pros and cons. I may have to communicate with people outside of my circle. So that may mean I have to talk to my boss about, here are some things that I may need to do for my family, right? I may have to talk to my support system if I have that, right? And for some, support system is family, it may be friends, it may be meeting with a therapist, right? We are so fortunate now that we have Zoom and these sorts of platforms where, you know, one can meet with a therapist and not necessarily have to go into the office, but be able to have just some time with someone who is objective, you know. I would say, remember what is at the core of what you need for your children. Okay. It is so easy for us to think, you know, my kids went to school for 6 to 8 hours. That means I need to be sitting with them at the table for 6 to 8 hours. Well, we need to be realistic. Okay. Our children that are at school for that long, but they're not in one classroom. They're not with one teacher. So we have to be realistic. We have to do what works for our children, right? It may mean starting off real early in the morning, right? From 8 to 10, kids are doing their work. Or hear this, let the kids sleep in. You do your work for those couple hours and then get the kids up. Let's do work. Then they take a lunch break. You do more work. But that's just what may work for me, right? I can't give the script. Each person has to trust to do what they think is best for their children.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've had situations with clients that were, you know, they've tried all sorts of things and still feel helpless.
Yes.
Or, you know, they're feeling pressured by the teachers because they're not submitting assignments and they don't feel equipped even, you know, because perhaps they didn't finish high school and as we know, the math that students are dealing with now, it doesn't matter if you have a PhD.
Yes, ma'am. You know, it's interesting that you talk about that because there's peer pressure even for us as adults, right? We want to always seem like we know how to do it. And now we're learning, since we had to homeschool our kids from March, we don't know how to do everything, and that's okay. Again, we reach into our resources, okay? I'm not always talking money when I talk resources. Who are people around me who know how to do this thing, right? Is it my pastor's wife? Is it my neighbor? Is it YouTube? You know, explore some resources to try to get the kids the help that they need. I have found in our public school system that the principal, the teachers, the counselors have been very supportive, okay? And have said, do the best you can with the resources that you have. Mm-hmm. I have had friends, though, who have said they have more than one child, one computer, and the struggle is real for them because everyone has work to do now on the computer, okay? So I would say to reach out to the school, talk to the school counselor, talk to the assistant principal, the principal, and explain your situation. I know that the schools are willing to help as best they can, but they don't know what we need unless we say what we need, right? So some of that will mean we have to check our pride and admit, I don't know how to do this. Absolutely. Because that's a lot of us.
That's a lot of us for sure.
Yep.
The kids are stressed. And we know that anxiety and all of that is contagious. Mm-hmm. So what can parents do? It's either the kids are feeding off of them, yes, or they're feeding off of their kids, or it's just an anxious mess at home. You know, yes, when you say calm and pause, yes, you know, when you're at the height of anxiety, that means nothing.
Yes. So, you know, what I say to my clients is, be so in tune with yourself that you know when you're getting to that stage. right? So you check in on yourself. You say, you know what? My hands are shaking. When my hands are shaking, I can't think. I get flooded. That means I may be at like an 8, 9, almost a 10. And so I say on a scale of 1 to 10. And so I say to my clients, what does a 5 look like for you? Is 5 calm for you? What does that look like? What needs to happen so you stay at that 5? How do you know when you're moving up to a 7? Right? Can you feel that within your body? Can you feel that in your stomach? Is your heart racing a little bit more? If so, what can you do to bring yourself back to a stable number? I say 5, but I've had other people say, you know what? Stable for me is 1, 2. And so I say, what does it look like when you're at that number? How do you know when you're getting to a 10? How can you come back from a 10? Right? That may be for some, I need to check out. I need to get up and I need to go outside. For another, that may mean I need to go splash some cold water on my face. Okay? For others, it may be I need to call a girlfriend or a guy friend. I need to take a walk, right? And you notice I'm saying I need a lot. We have to make that self-care priority. Self-care is not selfish. We have to take care of this first, and then we can be whole and prepared to help, within the family, if you will. I saw a little deal on Pinterest that says sitting in your car outside for a few minutes by yourself is self-care. Yes, ma'am, it is.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially if there are a lot of demands once you enter the door.
Exactly. Yes. Take care of self first. And that's so important to model for our children, right? Because they need to see when mom or dad has had enough and mom or dad is taking a break. And you can say that to your kiddos. Mom needs to take a break. Mom will be back in 5 minutes. Mom will be back in 30 minutes. You make sure the kids are safe, obviously, right? And then you take a break. And if that break it cannot mean going out, then maybe you sit in your bathroom for a little bit. Lock the door because kids like to come in when we're in the bathroom, right? Just sit there for a little bit. Listen to water, sit in the tub for a few. Again, there's no one script. You are the expert on yourself. You do what works for you. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so transitioning from parents to the rest of us who don't have kids, or we are in jobs where we may or may not be able to telecommute, but we have to come in to work, which is a whole other layer of stress. And I'm in higher ed, so there are college students are now coming in on campus from all over the country. And so there's a lot of anxiety for the community. There's anxiety for those that are frontline workers who actually have to be on campus. And then it's just a matter of feeling isolated in your house, especially if you're working with other people.
Yes.
All of those things that are compounded.
Yes.
And not all of us have healthy strategies in place, or sometimes we forget because we get so overwhelmed. What kind of advice do you have for the rest of us?
Yeah. I say again, try to take a breath. Try to remember, what do you do when you're dealing with other things, right? And see, how can I do that now? What do I need, or who do I need to help me while I'm struggling? Okay, going back to a system such as a university, a hospital, anything where the community has to come to you, that may feel overwhelming and scary, and one may feel helpless. And all of that makes sense, by the way. Okay, you can be a professional who's still nervous and anxious about things that are happening. That is okay. I say you take the precautions that work for you, okay, and communicate. So if you have a boss, a supervisor, maybe even an HR manager who you need to say, these are my concerns, okay? And manage what you can. Is it having your extra sanitizer? Is it, wearing your face mask, getting there early so you can make sure your classroom is, or your office is set up the safest, that makes you feel the safest. Communicate those needs. So, I'm a Christian woman, right? And so I pray a lot, right? Because there are times when I feel helpless, not just for myself, but for people who I feel like I can only help so much, and so for me, praying and speaking that positivity, it helps me to center But I would say to the other person, if it's meditation, if it is deep breathing, I'm a big proponent of yoga. So if you're traveling in the car and you have to, listen to some mindful meditation music, you can Google that, peaceful music, listen to that. Talk to a best girlfriend or brother or sister, somebody who kind of gets you, in that mood. But you do what works for you. If you are working from home and feeling isolated, that makes sense, right? I would say get up and go outside. Even if it's on the front porch, get some sunlight, drink water, do some self-care things that you can manage. Because sitting in front of the screen for that 6 to 8 hours or however long and trying to smile the whole time, right? I mean, come on, the struggle is real. So take breaks. We're more productive when we work for a couple of hours and then take a break. Okay, so I would say get 2 or 3 hours done if you can. Take 5 to 10 minutes and just breathe. Unplug from the phone or your computer, or if that works for you, to get on your Instagram, your Snapchat, and just mindless fun for a few minutes. Do that. Reach out, call, communicate. Now, Janelle, I wanted to mention something that had been on my mind related to children and school. And it's off the script from what you said, but Janelle, there are children who need to be seen by us, okay? Because child abuse is real, we know that. There are children whose only escape is to go to school. And so I would say to the community, if you are concerned about the neighbor kids, you haven't seen them in a while, knock on the door, bring a pie over, bring a bottle of water unopened over and just check in, make sure that those kids are okay. Call the police, and you don't have to call 911, but you can call the police and say, I haven't seen the kids in a while, things are really quiet over there, or things are very loud. Can you do a welfare check? You won't get in trouble with the police if you call and say, I have not seen them, I just want to make sure they're okay. All right. And again, you'll hear me talk about community a lot. You'll hear me say reach out a lot, because those are key. Those things are key.
Absolutely. And it's not just the abuse, right? There's also domestic violence that increases
goodness.
Time too, right? So it's,
yes.
So it's all of those layers. Addictions increase.
Yes.
There's a lot
yes.
of mental health issues, and
yes.
Lots of struggles, and being confined in small spaces with people
yes.
with all levels of coping strategies. What would be some recommendations in, some people believe in therapy, some people do not. In some of our countries, there is this stigma against mental health of like, you have to be crazy to get a therapist. But if someone is curious or interested in finding a therapist, what are some of the things they should be looking for? Or can you give them permission to be skeptical?
Yes. I would say one of the great resources for us as therapists is psychologytoday.com, right? I go to Psychology Today as a professional. I look for articles that I can share with my clients. But the neat thing about that is there are search, bars where you can just type in therapists in my area. You can see a picture and read their narrative. Right? You may see a video about that person. And so you're getting to know that person without reaching out and talking to him or her. Therapists are very willing to have a consultation session, just so you can call and ask questions. Everything we talk about is confidential, right? And we know the exceptions, right? If a child is being abused in the home, we have to disclose that. If one is reported feeling suicidal, homicidal, we have to report that. We have to respect the judge's order. But aside from those exceptions, if you just want to call for a consultation, do that. The domestic violence centers in the community, they have 24-hour hotlines. Those are free. That means at 2 a.m, if you are struggling, you cannot sleep, you are worried, you're concerned, you're fearful, call the local number. You and I worked for a DV program. We know, they are willing and ready, and they have a list of resources. So you call that one number, they'll give you a ton of other people and resources to connect with. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you, Marie. It was wonderful catching up. I know that you have to go, go be a mom and figure out
Yes.
all of the virtual stuff that's happening for schools.
Yes.
Thank you for stopping by, and I'll have all of Marie's information down below in the description. And for the rest of you, thanks for, following me and paying attention to my sessions. Go ahead, like, subscribe, hit the notification button so you wouldn't miss when I upload other videos. And have a wonderful rest of the day, everyone.
Yes. Bye, y'all.